Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna
Okay, yeah, definitely. Also, if I'm given by Saturday, give me a phone on call on a Friday. Yeah,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. So verse, we were looking at 13, I think. Yes. Now, if you look here, into a new topic altogether. If you look at Bhagavad Gita, you will see there. What's that topic? Maya. Introduction to Maya comes at this stage. Up to now, what did Krishna say? Krishna spoke about Paraprakriti and Avaraprakriti first. After talking about Paraprakriti and Avaraprakriti, Krishna said that Matta Paridaram na Anyat Kinchidasti Dhananjaya Mai Sarvamidam Prodam Sutre Maniganaiva. That I am present as the sutram, as the thread in Paraprakriti as well as in Avaraprakriti. In both Paraprakriti and Avaraprakriti, I am present there as a thread in everything. Sutre Maniganaiva. My Matta Paradaramma Anyat Kinchid Asti Dhananjaya. That don't see anything outside me. That was the message there in that verse, isn't it? That never see anything outside of me. Nothing exists outside me. Kinchid Asti Dhananjaya. Mai Sarvamidam Prodam. All of these things I am present inside Sutra Maniganaiva. Exactly like a thread which goes through all the pearls in a garland. That is what that verse. Then Krishna picked one or two things to tell us how we should see Krishna in this world. That is what those verses, which one? Rasoham apso kaundeya, prabhasmi shashisuyeyo, pranavat sarva vedeshu, shabdhake, paurusham nashu. All that verse. And then after that, punyoganda prativyamscha, verse 8, 9, punyoganda prativyamscha, tejas chasmi bhavaso. Basically, Krishna talked about the taste in the water and the light of the sun and the moon and the letter Om from the Vedam and ability in Pranavam Sarveda Paurisham Rishu, all that. Then the smell, fragrance of the earth, Punyoganda Prativyamscha. Then Tejas Masmi Vibhavasau. That means the illumination, the heat in the fire. Then Jivanam Sarvabhudeshu. I am the life of all that lives. And Tapaschasmi Tapasishu. Among the Tapasis who are performing austerities, I am the Tapasa. We saw all that, isn't it? We discussed all that before, so we won't go into that. Then Krishna also said, Bijamam Sarvabhudanam Vidhi Partha Sanadanam. Buddhimadam Asmi. Tejasinam Aham. That also Krishna explains there, isn't it? I am the seed of, original seed of all existence, the intelligence of the intelligence, Buddhar Buddhimadam Asmi, and Tejasinam Aham. We have seen all that. I hope you remember all that. I won't want to repeat the whole thing again, but I'm sure you remember all that. Because if you don't remember, then it's very difficult to move on to the other things. So then Krishna also said, Balam Balavadam Jaham. What does that mean? Balam Balavadam Jaham. We have talked about that also. Kamaraga Vivarjidam. That I am the strength of the strong, devoid of passion and desire. Then what else? Dharma Aviruddha Bodeshu Kamasmi. That I am sex life which is not contrary to religious principles. That also we talked about. What does that mean? Isn't it? Kamosmi Bharadharshava. That's where we stopped. Then in the next verse, so here you can see then Krishna said in the next verse, Echaiva Sattviga Bhava. Now here is where the Maya starts coming in. What does that Maya means? Maya means Echaiva Sattviga Bhava Rajasas Tamasaschai Mata Evedi Tanvidi Matvaham Terushude Mai. We discussed that also. You remember? That three modes of material nature are present. They are manifested by my energy. I am in one sense everything, but I am independent. I am not under the modes of material nature. Three modes of material nature, Krishna is present in the three modes of material nature, but three modes of material nature is not present in Krishna. This is the main thing. And that is what Krishna said in the next verse. The Tribir Gunamayer Bhaver Ebhi Savam Jagad Mohidam Abhi Janadi Mam Ebhya Param Agayam. Krishna says, deluded by the three modes, the whole world does not know me, who am above the modes and inexhaustible. Above the modes and inexhaustible. All things we talked about it before, isn't it? So here, Tribir Gunamayer Bhaver. So slowly, Krishna is making us to tell us about Maya. About Maya. It's a very important subject in the Bhagavad Gita, this topic of Maya. Because what is Maya? If you ask a question, there is no answer. Nobody can give you a clear definition what is Maya. That is why it's Maya. If you could define something very clearly, then it's not Maya. But because it is not possible, Anirvachaniyam, that is the definition of Maya itself is Anirvachaniyam. You can't define it, what it is. That is the very nature of Maya, the Maya Shakti. So, because it is like we saw that the influence of these modes of nature, how is that? Even now here, when I speak, my modes of nature will come through my words. Your modes of nature will capture the message in a way. According to the modes of nature, you will capture that, whatever we have spoken. So, these modes of nature, if it is in the mode of goodness, it will topics which are related to spiritual life, which is Sattvika, mode of goodness, they will go into the mind, and if the Sattvanam is there, it will be understood in the mode of goodness. It will be understood in the mode of goodness. If the person is in the mode of passion, when it's spoken about the soul, he will understand in the mode of passion. What does mode of passion means? Krishna gave these three names to three modes of nature. Sattvanam means knowledge, Prakasham, light. Krishna says light. Sattvanam means Prakasham, light. Rajogunam means what? Pravritti, action. And Tamogunam means what? Laziness, ignorance, avidya, all that. Ajnanam, Ajnanam, that's what it's called. Prakasham, Pravritti, Ajnanam. That's the three Sanskrit words for Krishna's definition of Sattvam, Rajas and Tamas. This, if you observe carefully, you can see that when knowledge is spoken in Sattvagunam, if the person is in Rajogunam, he will convert this whole Sattvic knowledge into Rajasic activity. You will observe this very clearly yourself. The knowledge which is in Sattvagunam, the person is in Rajogunam, when he hears that, he will convert this Sattvic knowledge into Rajasic activity. Into Rajasic activity. Because knowledge of the soul is in Sattvagunam. There is no question about it. Only in Sattvagunam, Krishna is saying also, Sattval Sanjayate Jnanam. Only in the Sattvagunam you will capture that message. Not in Rajogunam. In Rajogunam you will capture something else. It may not be the message, it will be something different. Your own interpretation of the knowledge will come. Like that. So that is why this you observe yourself, you will notice this in people. the same message two people have heard and they have understood in two different ways according to their modes of nature. According to their modes of nature. So this is the problem with, in Krishna says this to Uddhava also in the Bhagavatam. Uddhava asked this question to Krishna. Why, among the learned people also, why there is so much difference of opinion? Krishna is saying that's not their fault, Uddhava, it's my fault, Krishna says. Why? Because I've created this thing called three modes of nature. And as long as it's present there, you can expect that things to happen in that way. So, so what is the nature? Nature is like this. If it is Sattvagunam, if you are hearing something, you will listen and eventually you will be enthusiastic to realize it. That realization, desire for realization will be there. If it were in the Rajogunam, if you are hearing something, you will be in a disturbed state. You will be in a disturbed state. You will be thinking, oh, this is not practical. That kind of things will develop inside your own mind. It will come out like that. You will say, why is Krishna saying like this? It's so complicated, everything. This kind of thoughts will come because of the Rajogunam inside. And Tamogunam inside you won't even hear. You'll be here, but you won't hear anything. Tamogunam. That's how the modes are. Modes are so strong that we cannot, we will notice, if you observe in a carefully, you will notice all these things happening. So, so all these three modes are problems in realizing the truth, including Sattvagunam. Because Sattvagunam also has got one problem. What is that? In Sattvagunam, you receive the knowledge, you can also feel some happiness inside from the power of that knowledge. Power of the knowledge. Because when knowledge of the Shastra manifests in a person, or with the mind and intelligence he starts understanding that, he will start seeing a great sense of satisfaction inside. Shanti and peace will come with him. It's a natural thing, it is. Because it's the truth that is spoken, isn't it? So the impact of that truth, Satyam is directly creates this experience in a person. Brings all this, if it is in Sattvagunam, it will create this prakasham, light in a person. It will create the prakasham. And because that happiness will come, this person will get trapped in that. Person will get trapped in that prakasham, in the light. Light means not talking about the light, but I'm saying the spiritual realizations that's coming from that. He will get trapped in that, and that Sattvagunam will have its strength there. So Sattvagunam, Rajogunam, Tamogunam, Krishna is saying all three of them are obstacles in the path of self-realization. Only way to understand this is that, remember that example we talked about, that this businessman was going through the forest, three thieves caught him, tied him down and robbed him completely, and then left him there and gone. But later on, one of them came back and took him, released all the ropes, all the knots from which are with the ropes which we were tied with, and then took him away out of the forest boundary and let him go from there. So this man asked him that you are at least a nice person, you have been good to me. All three of you, they have done these things to me, they have tied me down and brought me everything. At least you are the courtesy, you have spared my life, brought me back from the forest and let me come out from the forest and escape from here. So you must be a nice person, you come back with me, he said. He said, no, I can't come back with you, I am also a thief, he says. So I am also part of those three. I can't come out, but I can do this much for you what I have done. So you please go now, he says to this businessman. Sattvagunam is like that. Sattvagunam will also bind you. You will start feeling happiness and then you will say, this is it. I got it now, why should I bother? And I will continue to stay in that mode of goodness. So that is also a problem, obstacle. Krishna is saying like that. Sattval sanjayate jnanam. But if you are in Sattvagunam, it is a possibility that you will understand something. Understand means at least some effect will be there on the person. There will be some impact on the person. Traibir Gunamayar Bhavaya. All these three modes of nature are experienced in the Gunamayam Bhavaya, in our Traibir Gunamayar Bhavaya. So it says that three modes of nature are present Gunamayam. All three are Gunamayam. Gunamayam means these modes of nature. They are present and they are coming from me. Coming from me. And Natvaham Teshudemai. But I am not in them. I am not in them. They are in me. I am not in them. That's what Krishna is saying. So all of them have come from the soul. It doesn't have any impact on the soul. It doesn't have any impact on the soul. And only thing is what they do is they pollute the intelligence. They pollute the intelligence. Intelligence is where the three modes of nature are present. Three modes of so therefore Mohidam Navajanadi, Krishna is saying that Sattvam Sukha Sanjayadi Raja Karmani Bharata Pramadam Moha Tapasa. If you look into the 14th chapter, you will see that verse. What Sattvagunam does, what Rajogunam does, and what Tamogunam does in the 14th chapter. If you look at the 9th verse, you will see there Krishna is talking about 9th verse in the 14th chapter. Sattvam Sukhe Sanjayadi Raja Karmani Bharata Jnanam Avuttidu Tama Pramade Sanjayatyuda. He says, the mode of goodness conditions one to happiness, passion conditions him to the fruits of action, and ignorance to madness. Ignorance to madness. So this is the same thing, that in mode of goodness he will conditions one to happiness, and mode of passion conditions him to the fruits of action, and mode of ignorance turns him to madness. Turns him to madness. Of course, that chapter 3 modes of material nature, which is called Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga, when we will discuss, we will talk about that more. So Sattvagunam develops attachment to happiness. Attachment to happiness. Rajogunam develops attachment to action, karma. And Tamogunam will develop the laziness or jadatvam, or kind of dullness in a person. But Krishna says all three of them mohidam na vijayanadi, that mamebhya paramaveyam. So just like a magician or what do you call that person who does the hypnotization, how they hypnotize us, in a similar way all three of them will hypnotize us in one way or the other. That's what he says. Mohidam na vijanadi. Mohidam means that so these three are hypnotizing us all the time. All the time we are under the hypnotism of these three modes of nature. These three modes of nature. So what is the result of that? The result of that hypnotization is that we are not realizing things as they are, the truth. We are not realizing the truth as they are. That is the effect of that hypnotism. For example, we are studying, we are not this body. Logic also tells us we are not this body. But that hypnotism is so strong that we can't come out of this body. Isn't it? We are kept in the bodily identity, or the identity of the mind, or identity of the intelligence, all these things. Mama, Vijayanadi. In other words, our knowledge of the soul is corrupted with these three modes of material nature. With these three modes of material nature. Corrupted by the goodness, corrupted by the passion, and corrupted by the ignorance. So, actually when we know about ourselves, what actually we know is our modes of nature. That's what we know about us. It's about our mode of nature. Therefore, spirituality means modes of nature we think. We think it is the modes of nature. Because that's all we know. According to our modes of nature, we are functioning here. Say, if we function in the modes of nature in goodness, if the modes of nature is in goodness, we will function in that mode. And we think that is spirituality. And same spirituality, a person in the mood of passion will experience it in the mode of passion, and he will think that that is spirituality. And the same spirituality in the mood of ignorance will think that he has understood it that way, and that is spirituality. He will think like that and he will act in that way. That is why we have different processes of worship in the spiritual life. Everybody is following spiritual life. If somebody is offering meat and alcohol to the deity and says, I am also following my own shastra, one person is saying. Another person is following another shastra in another way. And you can see the diversity or the variegatedness in the spiritual process of the whole human species. From people who are in the forest, why we call them as aborigines, they call us, I don't know what they call us. We call them aborigines and all. I don't know what they think about us. But they have their own worship, do they not? They also worship in their own way the different devatas in their forest. If you make a list of all the prosa worship going on in this world, in different parts of the world, in different places, it's unlimited. It's such a huge variety of gods and huge processes of worship exist. Why these varieties have come? Because of the modes of nature. Because of the modes of nature. So, and they are all following spirituality. They are also looking for the truth. We are also looking for the truth. Everybody is looking for the truth. Only thing is the process is so different from one to another. So this, but what's happening is Krishna is saying that none of them really understand anything. They are all following the process only. They are not getting anywhere near the truth because of this. So because it's corrupted by the modes. The spirituality is corrupted by the modes of nature. Spirituality is above all these things. It cannot be touched by in the pure consciousness. Krishna is saying there, isn't it? Pure knowledge cannot be corrupted by anything. It's pure. So, yes, Tribir Gunamayer Bhavi Ragadvesha Mohadi Prakashehi Padarthehi Pranijana Jagat Mohinam Avivekadam Apadidam. So, that because of this, what's happening is that power inside them. What is that power? Brahmava Loka Dishanam. We are talking only about now human society. Every human being has got this capacity to inquire about the truth. That is called Brahmava Loka Dishanam. Brahmava Loka Dishanam Utamapa Deva. When Brahma created us, he gave us this special benediction. That is, human body it is possible to realize the self. That power is not manifesting because of these modes of nature. Because due to the presence of the modes of nature, that a capability in a human body which has got the capacity to inquire about the truth does not happen, does not develop. Why? Because the modes of nature stops that. So, we say that the Sat Ma Abhijanadi Mamebhyo Yadoptebhyo Gunebhya Param. So, the self or the soul is beyond these three modes, Sattvam, Rajasa and Tamasa. And what is the Susarupam Avyayam, it says there, isn't it? Mamebhya Param Avyayam. That's Avyayam means Janmadi Sarvavigara Varjidam Ityartaha. Avyayam means Janmam, birth, and Adi means along with the birth what happens? The 6 different changes that happens to this body. Shat Parinamam. It takes birth, it grows, then it creates byproducts, then it stays for some time, starts decay and death. So these 6 changes that's happening in the body does not happen to the soul. Does not happen to the soul. So that happens only for the body. Even that realization is not coming to us. That it is not happening to me. But what do I do? I say, oh, I am suffering from this. I am getting old. I am getting sick. I am diseased. I will be dying. This fear develops inside. Why again? Because of the modes of nature. Because of the modes of nature. So, when we get sick, we get a cold or headache or a fever or cancer or a heart attack, whatever it may be, that we are always identifying with that straight away. Why? It's not allowing us to even to accept this truth about the soul, that the soul doesn't get sick, soul doesn't get old, soul doesn't get diseased, soul doesn't die. All this theoretical knowledge remains as it is, and we straight away goes with these vikalpams. What is being experienced by the body? What's being experienced by the body? Why does that happen? That's what Krishna is saying here. That is the power of Maya. That's the power. All these only examples we can give through which to get a deeper understanding that how powerful Maya is. One side we accept that the soul, all completely theoretical understanding only, nothing more than that. Nothing more than that. Okay, we can preach to everybody about it. That's good enough. But in reality, when it comes to reality, nothing has changed. We are where we are. On one hand, Shastram is telling us, you are not this body, you are not this body, you are not this body. Many millions of times it's repeating. And it's also talking about the soul in such level. In spite of all that, after hearing all of this, the moment you get out of that door, shh, gone. Everything gone, back to the body again. And that is what Krishna is calling it as the three modes of material nature. Now we know how powerful they are. How the modes of nature won't allow us. That's what that verse is saying. Mohoyam nabhijanadi. Because of moham it creates, that delusion it creates, so powerful, na abhijanadi. What is that? Mamebhya param avyayam. My true nature, what I am, which is avyayam, indestructible. I am indestructible. We'll chant this whole thing, whole lifetime, but when the death comes, we'll be frightened still. Oh, I'm going to die, I'm going to die. When is the death going to happen? Isn't it? You can imagine that how important spiritual education is. We are thinking that opening new hospitals and opening medical facilities for people will solve the problem. They are not going to escape from the fear of death. That's not going to go. That will remain. What treatment is required there, not in the body. Treatment is required for this education is more important than all the treatment what we are offering, billions of pounds for the NHS and all that. Nothing will happen. It will make it like in the jail as a prisoner. We are in the prison house, isn't it? We are in the prison house. We have to recognize that. These modes of nature are the prison. These three modes of nature is the prison. We are in that prison. What we are doing now through our program is to make the prison better. To make the prison better. To make the prison better. Shastra, that is where the main difference is. Those people who are advocating about welfare activities and all, they don't understand that this prison, no matter how nicely you perform your welfare activity, it's not going to change. Say we are all prisoners inside these three modes of nature. And one prisoner is saying, let me help all the other prisoners in the prison. But the jail warden won't let you out because you are good to all the other prisoners doesn't mean that you can go. Whatever period you are convicted here, you have to stay. That is the law. They are not going to let you out from the prison because you have been very good to all the other prisoners. That's because everybody is a prisoner here in one way or the other. All what we are doing now is to get the prison better, improve the prison conditions. That's what that means. Mohoyam nabhijanadi mamebhya paramavyayam. And that's what we were discussing. And then we also see the next verse we were discussing there. Yeah, we are saying there that sattvam, rajasa, tamasa, they will bind a person. They will bind a person. For example, the point is, what Krishna's point is, that in the satsangam, when you are in the satsangam, then suddenly you will experience certain realizations because nobody will talk about these things outside, that we know. Nobody discusses these topics, isn't it? You may read some things, but in the association of devotees and discussing this, sometimes you wake up to this reality that it all makes sense, isn't it? When you read about them. So there is a possibility that there's a possibility that you may take to this seriously. You may take to it seriously. But directly, it will not do it. It will not happen directly. Because the benefit is that Janmadi Sarva Bhava Varjidam. Janmadi Sarva Bhava Varjidam. The reason is that, strictly speaking, I am not born, I am not changed my body, there is no death for me. My pure nature is I am eternal, I am pure, I am fully conscious and I am always liberated. That is my real nature. And this is in Shastram called as Pratyabhijna. Pratyabhijna. It's an important word, Pratyabhijna. And the purpose of all Satsangam, everything, is to learn this process of Shravanam, hearing. And from hearing, these results must come. The result must come from that. Either it must happen immediately, or it may happen and go. For a while it may manifest in some form in everyone. At some point in time it will happen. if you look, and that is the goal, because if you look into the into Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying there also that what we were reading this morning, that this nature of the soul, we talked about it this morning, isn't it? The knowledge by which one undivided soul, one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all existence, undivided in the divided, is knowledge in the mode of goodness. So if a person is in the mode of goodness, he will understand that whether it's a demigod, animal, human being, or whatever it may be, that who is in the mode of goodness, he will understand that there is only one spirit soul in everything. It's only one spirit soul in everything. So you can see, in all living entities, one spirit soul is there, although they have different bodies in terms of their previous work. So, when we talk about this, as I mentioned before, that somewhere it is mentioned like this, that there is only one spirit soul who is present in everyone. Divided because of the different bodies it looks divided. The soul is one, but it appears as though it's divided because of the presence of so many bodies. And this knowledge can change depending on the modes of nature. In Tamogunam, you will experience that there is a variety of souls and variety of gods exist in Tamogunam. When it comes to Rajogunam, at least it will get a little better. You may accept one god, but still a separate existence in the separate from the truth. You will see yourself separated from the truth. That is why if you look in that commentary, Prabhupada mentions there, the difference is perceived in terms of the body because there are many forms of material existence in conditional life. Therefore, they appear to be divided. Such impersonal knowledge finally leads to self-realization. This is verse 20 in 18th chapter, verse 20. Krishna is talking about the knowledge. Knowledge in the mode of goodness, knowledge in the mode of passion, knowledge in the mode of ignorance. So the same knowledge, when it's given in ignorance to someone in ignorance, he will understand there are so many gods, so many methods of worship, and his own method of worship he will introduce into it. There are many people like that who follow their forefathers. My grandparents did like this, so I'll also do the same thing. They'll say, they go in that route. So that is Tamogunam. Tamogunam is dictating to them. In Rajogunam, they will accept in a different way. In a Rajogunam. So, although the truth is one, depending on the modes of nature, the varieties of understanding and the varieties of the process of worship. Variety is the process of worship. That's what is saying there. That's what that is saying there. So, that's why Prabhupada mentions there that in the bodies, as described in the 7th chapter, you will see, Prabhupada mentions there, as described in the 7th chapter, the manifestation of the living force in every body is due to the superior nature of the Supreme Lord. Thus, to see that one superior nature, that living force in every body, is to see in the mode of goodness. So in goodness you will understand that there is only one soul present in different bodies. That's the way in goodness you will understand. In passion you will understand that there are so many souls and so many different, because we are very much more in the morally concept of life at that time. And in ignorance you don't even think about any of these things. You just do the worship without thinking anything. Like a ritual it will go. So you can see the modes of nature, how it has its drastic effect on every one of us, everything. So importance of knowing that. So after saying that, Krishna says here that, and this is where this study of the knowledge of the soul is important. If you don't study anything, don't study any shastram, what will happen? It will go on what we are doing without caring anything, whether it's right or wrong, we won't think. Modes of nature are so powerful that if we do not take it seriously and study what Krishna is saying, with the help of all the other Acharya support, we will try to get some understanding of the proper way to conduct our spiritual life. Otherwise, we will be misled by the society or by the leaders, whatever, whoever is telling us whatever, depending on their modes of nature, everything can also change, isn't it? So, all these things we have to take into consideration when we talked about spiritual life. So, only Tattva-jnanam, that's called Tattva-jnanam. Tattva-vicharam means reflection on all these things, what Krishna has spoken about in the Bhagavad Gita, that is called Tattva-vicharam. From that develops Tattva-jnanam. Tattva-jnanam. Tattva-jnanam is what Bhagavatam also talks about that, isn't it? You can see all through Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam is Tattva-jnanam is spoken. Janma karmajam evam yo janma karmajam e divyam evam yo veti tattva, he says. What is the tattvam? That is the important thing. Tattva deham punarjanma medi mamedi saurjuna. Krishna is saying, when he has understood tattvam, he will come back to me. Otherwise it won't happen. So self-realization or realization of the truth will happen at a time when tattvam has manifested in a person. That's why tattva-jnanam is important. Isn't it? In the Bhagavatam also it says like that. Vadandidat tattvavedam tattvametjnanam advayam brahmedi paramatmedi bhagavan vishabdade. There also, who is given the credit? Tattvam yajnanam advayam, who knows the tattvam. They talk like this, Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan, in this shabdam. Not the ordinary people. Jivasya tattva jijnasa, not toyas jeha karmavi. Kamasi indriya pridi labho jiveda yavada. Jivasya tattva jijnasa, not toyas jeha karmavi. So tattva jijnasa, tattva jnanam is an important thing in spiritual life. Without tattva jnanam, it's simply just like reading the book and trying to understand with the mind and intelligence is not spiritual life. That's not spiritual life. Unfortunately, because in the modern world, there is all this media, books, cassettes, CDs, everything there. So, and we are used to what? We are used to our material way of studying things, isn't it? We study books and we acquire information from the books. And we are bring that background into our spiritual life also. And that's where everything goes wrong. And when we study and read the books, we start thinking that this is where it is. No, that is not how it is. That the way to understand this that Tattva Jnana must happen, which means Tattva Vicharam is necessary. Tattva Vicharam is necessary. So when Tattva is understood, then he cannot go wrong anymore. He cannot go wrong anymore. That's the necessity of the Tattva Vicharam, or Tattva Jnanam is necessary for that. So, and if does not happen, and only then you will escape from this, what do they call it, this entanglement of this religious life. Only when Tattva Jnanam comes. Only when Tattva Jnanam happens, you will break out from this so-called religion and all other things what we have created in this world. We are stuck in this. It's a big, what do they say? Not trap. It's a kind of a knot which you cannot remove. Kind of complex thing. Very complex. In the name of religion, what is called in this world today. It's a very complex thing. And we are caught up in that, don't know how to come out of it. But when Tattva Vicharam comes and Tattva Jnanam comes, then all this illusion and ignorance goes away. You get to know the truth. What is the truth? When you that is why this study of Tattva Vicharam is necessary. And without this, even if you worship all the 330 million gods who is present in the Vedic things, and even if you become Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra, and you can wear all kinds of bead bags and colored garlands and everything, and you can take any dress, sannyasi, brahmachari, grastham, vanaprastham, keep the shikha this way, that way, whichever way the shikha you want to keep. All types of shikhas are also there in this world. Nothing will have any benefit from that. Nothing will happen if Tattva Jnanam hasn't come. Without that proper understanding of things. You can change your clothes, take the danda, I'm a sannyasi, you can say you're a grahastha, you can say you're a brahmachari, whatever you may say at the end. And you can go to Himalayas and stay in an ashram there. Nothing is going to change either. So Krishna, that's what Krishna is saying, moham. That word moham means all this. Mohoyam nabhijanadi. That's all, nothing but illusion it is. After coming to spiritual life, there's a lot of different kinds of illusion comes. How should I become a sannyasi? How should I become something else? Or become whatever. These desires in different forms it comes. How to become famous in one way or the other. These are all different kinds of desires in spiritual life also. It comes and takes. So Krishna is saying there, all of them is all useless at the end because Tattva-jnanam is not there. In Srimad Bhagavatam, you will notice this. After saying the whole of Bhagavatam, Sukadeva Goswami is saying to Parikshit, I have only one thing to say to you. So far I was telling you stories, and that's also not even real, he says. That. This is how he is saying to them. It is there, that verse in the Bhagavatam, that, that I have told you 7 days because I had to keep you busy for 7 days. I have spoken all these things. But if the truth is not realized, my dear Parikshit, what is the use again? And then he talks about in the 12th canto what is known as Brahmavadesham. At that time, he is not speaking anything else except the Tattva. Tattva means spoken at that time. Preparing him for that was the purpose of all the other things what is spoken in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, Mohoyam Nabhijanadi. So, Mamebhyam Aramaveyam. Mamebhyam Paramaveyam. So, so in other words, what it says here, you can go to Himalayas, and sometimes it is a fact of life. You may meet some people there, they are practicing spiritual life there for several years, in the caves, in the high mountains everywhere. But when you see them, you can see that they have no Tattva-jnanam. There is no knowledge of the soul. And there also you will find, at the same time you may find some jnanis also among them. It's not that everybody, because they have gone to Himalayas, they are all realized souls. That's not how it happens. They will also find jnanis and ajnanis also among them. And so sometimes you can see this also when you go to Himalayas and see those who are declaring themselves to be their jnanis there, but when you see their moham, you will be amazed by their moham, what is going through them. And you will sometimes see what you don't see the moham in the person who is living in the city of London, you will find there in them. That also is there in this world. Because such a desires you will notice, observe in them. At the same time, not that everybody is in that category, you will also see some Mahatmas there, Mahatmas in that state. So, so this samsara material existence is based on this ajnanam or ignorance in us, avidya in us. So how to free ourselves from this ajnana nivritti, freedom from this ajnanam, that is what spiritual life is all about. Spiritual life is all about. Not that any charismatic achievement. Some people have that understanding also, that I become now somebody famous in spiritual life, so I should be a charismatic personality and I should go in that direction also. That is also another delusion. Another delusion. That is what Krishna is saying here. Mohidam na abhijanati. His moham is na abhijanati. He will never get to know the truth. They have fallen into that trap and they don't know me who I am. Krishna says they don't know the soul then. When they fall into the trap, they don't know the soul. After that they won't know the soul. Mohidam na abhijanati. They won't know me after that. Nothing about the soul. So they are satisfied. In other words, those people, actually it is more in the spiritual field, this problem. They'll come to spiritual life and then if you see their moham, their delusion for money, fame, followers and all that, when you see that, you can see they are also equally in the trap of this sattvam, rajasa, tamasa. Sattva, rajasa, tamasa. Three modes of material nature. Krishna is saying they are satisfied with the three modes of nature. They are satisfied with the three modes of nature. Therefore, they never come to know me, Krishna says, who is beyond the three modes of material nature. Who is beyond the three modes of material nature, they can never come to know about their spiritual identity. This has happened to many people in spiritual life. They come to spiritual life at one time, at some point in life, they took to spiritual life, and then they got deviated in different ways. Some people thought that they have to have a lot of money in spiritual life to have spiritual life. And somebody else thought they should be famous all over the world in spiritual life. And somebody else thought that they should have a lot of followers and can change the whole, different kinds of delusions gets into their head. And then they start working in that. And finally, they start realizing, what was I came for, first of all? I came to know the truth, not to repair the world. That was not the goal. And they came to realize that you can't repair this world. Even if you repair it, the more under starts, it will start leaking somewhere. So that's the nature of this world. So those who are clear in their understanding, Krishna says they don't fall into this trap. Mohoyam na abhijanadi. But those who are fallen into moha, one of these three modes, they will get lost in that process. Na abhijanadi. So this is what Krishna says here. They don't understand the soul or the tattvam behind the soul, tattvam behind the soul, and they do not understand enough that Krishna says here, what is the way to escape from these three modes of material nature? What is the way to free oneself from this? That's what Krishna is talking to us. Here he says here, Kadam Punar, in this verse, he says here, Kadam Punar, that Kadam Punar Devi Edam Tribunatmigam Vaishnavi Mayam Adikramadidi Uchate. In other words, Katham Punyam, how can one Devim Edam Tribunatmiyam, this Devi Maya, which is Vaishnavi Maya, how one can, which is made of three modes of material nature, Sattvam, Rajas and Tamas Mayam, Adikramadidi Uchade, how can one can transcend these three modes of material nature? It is then that Krishna is going to talk about. In this, and Krishna is now entering to that this force, powerful force known as Maya, is coming from the three modes of material nature. In other words, that's why it's called Gunamayi. Gunamayi means the three modes of material nature. So, in Devi Mahalmyam, there is a statement about that. There is to give an example of how this Maya works in this world. A king lost his kingdom. And a businessman, his business collapsed. A businessman, his business collapsed, became bankrupt. A king lost his kingdom. This is a story from Devi Mahalmyam to talk about Maya. So they met somewhere together, they met. And they were talking to each other. One was feeling sorry for the other. One was feeling sorry for the other. The king was saying, although I was thrown out from my kingdom, in my dreams, the soldiers are coming and saluting me. They're coming and saluting me. And I am seeing this dream all the time. And not only that, and sometimes I am still desiring for that life I had in the palace as a king. I had a palace in the king. That not otherwise, those who have been serving me at that time when I was a king, and they were saluting me, they are all serving somebody else now, another king. I'm seeing that in my dream, he says. But still, in spite of all that, I'm not realizing anything, that this is all Maya. He says, king is saying this. King is saying that in his dream, he is seeing that those who were serving me when I was the king, they are not serving me anymore, but they are serving somebody else, and I'm seeing this in the dream. And I'm also seeing here, he says that sometimes some of them are coming and saluting me when I was the king. I'm seeing all this. I'm unable to get rid of that from my mind. In spite of that, I'm not developing any detachment from this world. Normally, for a king, it's a big fall, isn't it? He loses his kingdom and is thrown out from that, which was quite common in the past throughout the world. The son will decide after stage. If a father is living too long, he will start thinking, when is he going to get out of that place? Where is my job then? I want to get in there and sit there. So what they do, either they will kill them or they will put them in the prison. Whole of Mughal dynasty, that's the history. If you look, every one of them, hardly anyone who died outside the prison. Majority of them went into prison and died there. Shah Jahan and so many others before that. So it's quite common. But why? The son was thinking that he's not dying, he's not vacating his seat. I want to get in there. Kamsa's case also did the same thing. This is why Ugrasena is sitting there, I need to be there. So he decides like that. So this father-son relationship is all that much only. Nothing more than that. This is all till when you need it, when you need the chair, you'll forget all that. Father-son all is forgotten there. And we consider it such a big thing in life, isn't it? So anyway, the king is saying all these things to this businessman who lost bankrupt, who became bankrupt. So he's saying here, the businessman's children, they have thrown him out when the business collapsed. This happens in the family, business families also this happens. When the business is running well, making a lot of money, we'll be all together. When the business collapses, you won't see anybody there. So they threw him out. They said that you are responsible for the business becoming like this, and throw him out. So he says here that Drishtadoshe Mamatvam Krishnamanaso. In spite of the fact that I am seeing all these things happening in my life and I am recognizing all these things, still I am not able to give up my attachment for them. Just see that. All this has happened. This experience is sufficient for a man to think, isn't it? The reality of all this material life. He says here, so although there is defects in all these things, that Viguneshu Visudandushu, all my relatives have turned against me. When the business collapsed, every one of them will turn against you. But I am still thinking about them and feeling stressed about them. I'm thinking, they don't want me, but still I am thinking what will happen to them if I am not there. The children are not showing any affection. Relatives have no affection, but still the mind is going after them. What is the reason? I don't know, he says. The businessman is saying to the king. So the two of them together decided that they'll go and ask some person in knowledge in the forest, a Maharshi, a Rishi. So all two of them, both of them together, why it is happening like this, they went to him and asked him. So he says to them, this is Maya. This is Maya. That Maya is a force, it's an unusual power, and it is known as an independent power. It's a very independent thing, it is. And some places it is spoken as though it's a power of the soul. It's a power of the soul. But the fact is that you can't review the power of this Maya. That is the problem with this Maya. So only thing you can say is this: the more we become self-centered, the more powerful is the Maya. The only way to free ourselves from Maya, easiest way, is not to become self-centered. Self-centered means those who are completely under the thoughts that they are everything is centered around them in this world, their own happiness, their own family, their own this, their own that. In that way, one who lives in that consciousness, for him it is very difficult to break through. Maya attacks them much more powerful way. They fall into that trap more. Whereas the person who thinks that this world has its own limited reality, and who also knows these relationships in this world is very temporary, and there is no truth attached to it, and in that way one sees this world and acts in this world, he will be less affected by Maya. He will be less affected by Maya. Because the more you close to the center, the powerful force on the circumference gets stronger. The circumference gets stronger. So Vedantis say that this power called Maya, they call that thing which doesn't exist. Actually, Maya is not a negative force or otherwise negative power. It's neither negative force or a negative power. It is not. It's not a negative force or a negative power. It is nature itself. Nature itself is Maya. It's an energy of the material nature. And that is Devi. Devi. It is called Devi. Divine. It is Devi's divine, it is. The nature one. So that is why you will see that Krishna is going to talk about that. So Bhagavad Gita says that it is a divine energy of Krishna. This Maya is a divine energy of Krishna. Divine energy of Krishna. Therefore, she is addressed as Mahamaya. Jagadishwari, and all kinds of different titles are given. So, only when she releases you, you can escape from that power. So, because it's her department, it is her department, she has to give us the clearance. Till she gives that clearance, you can do upside down jump here, nothing is going to happen, you won't escape from here. So, wherever your individual weakness you have, she knows that. She knows that where your weakness is. And it is an intelligence force which is in charge of everything other than the self. That is one way of understanding her. It's a very intelligent force in this nature which is in charge of everything what you are doing in this world except the soul, except the soul, self. So, but that is why the moment you are situated in the platform of the soul, Maya cannot touch. Maya cannot touch you. Otherwise, Maya has got complete control over us. So, for one instance, if you move out of the platform of the soul, it is her field. Maya's field, that is. So, one who is in the Chit Shakti or always situated on the spiritual platform, for him, she is not a truth. She doesn't exist. But you have to study this, because these things are spoken in the, there is glorification of Maya written about that. Lalita Sahasranam is one among them. If you see the words, how carefully they have selected in defining Maya, you will be impressed by that clarity that they had, who wrote Lalita Sahasranam, whoever that is. Chidagni Kunda Sambhuda Devagarya Samudhyama. There are many statements like that. Ragaswarupa Bhashadhyam Nama. She is offered wherever she is worshipped. She is offered Ragaswarupa Bhashadhyam. She ties us down with Ragam Dvesham. It is her who is present in the form of Ragam Dvesham. So she ties us down. Ragaswarupa Bhashadhyam Namaha. They offer flowers to her. Ragaswarupa Bhashadhyam Namaha. She is who is in the form of Mahadevi, who is sitting there. Flowers are offered to her, saying that Ragadvesham is coming, you are the person behind it. In there. Devagarya Samutidaya Namaha. The one who is controlling even the demigods. You are that powerful, and obeisances to you, and offer flowers to her. So, that powerful personality who is sitting there, Chidagni Kunda Sambhudaya Namaha. What else? She is coming from the Chit Shakti. This Maya Devi, Maya, she has come from Chit Shakti. The origin is from inside, from the Chit Shakti she has come. That Satya Chitta Anandam is the nature of the soul, isn't it? That Chit Shakti's another manifestation is this Maya. Therefore, Chit Shakti is called fire. Agni Kundam is a fire. From there she was born. Therefore, one of the mantram glorifying her is Chidagni Kunda Sambhudaya Namaha. Because you are born from the Chidagni, the fire of Chit Shakti, obeisances to you. In different ways, Maya Devi is offered respects in this way. You can see in the Srimad Bhagavatam also, her power. She has shown her power there, isn't it? Mentioned that before. That there are so many cases, people want to understand what is this Maya. And every time when they realize what Maya is, they didn't want to know any more about it. Balram didn't know about Maya. You know, Maya was sent, isn't it? Krishna says to Maya, you go, and first what you do, I'm going to come. Prior to that, you go and you take birth in Yashoda Devi's house. And then, before that, Balram will be there in Devaki's womb. First you go there and move him from there to Rohini's womb. Do that, he said. And then you go and take birth in Yashoda Devi's womb. She says, Omidi, Tatedi. Fine, everything fine with me. She never said, how will I do that? No, she knows she can do that. All these kind of things which you can. She takes birth there. Krishna appears in the prison. Then Krishna says to her that you come here, I will go there. And she comes from there to Devi's womb, to Devaki Devi, and Kamsa comes and sees her there. Kamsa gets confused. Because Kamsa was told, 8th son will kill him. Now, this is a girl has come. Kamsa says, I never thought that these demigods will lie at me. He says. They have been telling lies to me. Otherwise, why is this happened like this? So she holds her feet and wants to throw her onto the rock, and she throws her there onto the rock. She goes to the sky and stands there with 8 hands and speaks from there to Kamsa, who is standing on the ground. He says to her, she says to him that you don't know who I am, do you? But you have caught my feet, so I'll give you some benediction. He says to him. That is even there, you can see her potency there, that Mahaya's potency. That so, Chidagni Kunda Sambhuda Devakarya Samadhyamaha. The Ragaswarupa Vashanya, Krodha Gairangu Shochuna, Manorubetshugodanda, Chinmadan Matra Sayaga. So many glorification after glorification about Shivarvari. And she was told, Krishna says to her, after you have done all these things, you stay in different places, people will worship you. People will worship you. They will come to you because everybody in this world is not for self-realization. People have a lot of desires. And when they have desires, they will come to you. You fulfill their desires. She says, I will do that. And that's why she is worshipped so much in different temples and everywhere. So that's how her, so Mahamaya, Vishwam Brahmayadi Parabrahma Mahishi. So it is not a negative power. It's not a negative. It is not positive power also. Because when she is positive in us, we will develop knowledge of the soul. That is the beauty of that. Simultaneously, she is power of knowledge and she is power of ignorance as well. Vidya Shakti and Avidya Shakti. So when lust, anger, greed, delusion, competition, matsariam, kamam, krodham, lobham, moham, madam, matsariam, all these things are happening, that is her manifestation in the form of avidya. And when it is coming in us in the name of bhakti, devotion, knowledge, renunciation, that is vidya. Same presence of her in us is like that. She is vidya, avidya surupini. Both she is, both. Vidya and avidya, it is her, both. When she comes as vidya, it comes in the form of knowledge, renunciation, devotion. When it comes as avidya, ignorance in us, it comes in another, lust, anger, greed and all other kinds of things. So, that thing which prepares us for self-knowledge of the soul and prepares us, that is called vidya. Both are her power. And it is her, she has got this processing power. She processes us through vidya or avidya. So, Panchakritya Parayana, another definition given to us. Creation, maintenance, destruction, Anugraham, Tirodhanam, all these things. Anugraham means the mercy, what comes to us. Tirodhanam, how the disappearance from this world, all these things, she is under control. Maya is under control. Because it is a topic, and that topic is this Maya. For example, it's a new topic. We are situated at home. We are in the material existence, isn't it? We are situated in material existence. And we stay at home. We are engaged in different kinds of activities in this world, which is called Vyavaharam, transactions in this world. So actually all of it is her field. It is her field. It is she who is in control of all these things. So, sometimes this question came up that you will notice this energy and the energetic. Isn't it? Energy and the energetic. Energy is she. Energetic is he. Energetic is he. So the question is that they are together, he and she. He and she are together. So the question was asked that is it, can they exist separately? The answer is that in she, he is there. In he, she is not there. And that is the fact. In she is present and he is also present. But in he, she is not there. Maya cannot touch him. But in her, she is there, he is there, isn't it? If you take the words also, if you take he and she, you will see this. that in she, he is there. Whereas in he, she is not there. So that is what that Maya's power is. Maya's power is. So, so that is based on that, like different identities we are given. For example, we call, say, Lakshmi Narayana, one form of worship. That's he and she. And similarly, Shiva and Shakti, Shiva and Parvati, he and she. Radha Krishna, he and she. All these he and she, both worship has come in this way. That the Shakti is an integral part of the energy, is an integral part of the energetic as well. It's coming from there. So when we are materialists and we are in the field of this material world and we are under her control. We are under her control. So what happens is, when from the field of that Maya, when we come to the spiritual life, that whole power of Maya will turn against us. Whole power of Maya will turn against us. That the whole purpose is that it will not allow us to break our false ego. To break our false ego. It is because of the presence of false ego in us, ahankaram in other words, that we are able to stay in her field. In her field, false ego has a role to play. In his field, which is spiritual field, false ego has no place. So when you try to break away from that her field and come to his field, she won't allow you to go. She will make your that false ego stronger. False ego stronger. And when you break it away from there, till you break that, smash it down, you will not be able to escape from that control of Maya, from that control of Maya. All this Krishna is going to talk about in 2-3 verses. This is the message from that. So when we are able to escape from that field of Maya, you can see that your false ego will be continuously crushed. The false ego will get continuously crushed. And only after getting that crushed a lot, you will escape from her. Because it is only that one thing, false ego, that keeps us in her field. Keeps us in her field. So when that ahankaram goes away, and if we are able to throw it away, and able to escape from her, our worldly life and a material life, whatever it is, and if there is no other false conception centered around this materialistic life, and no false pride or false ego in there, we can become simply a child in her hands. Child in her hands. That's, in other words, she will release us when she sees that false ego has completely gone away from inside. That's the point she will give us the release note to go to spiritual life. Till that time, this whole drama will continue. In other words, keeping this false ego inside, ahankaram inside, it is not possible to practice spiritual life, to accept the truth. False ego won't allow you to accept the truth. What is actually blocking the knowledge getting in? Everything is spoken, Shastram is there open, everything is there open. But still it's not getting in. Why? The false ego inside is not allowing that to get in. It's not allowing that to get in. So realized personalities, they will say that that she is in control, she is the operator. We have just a machine. There's just a machine in her hands. So this special nature of Maya, this special power or special force, what is operating within this world, that her field in which she is operating, that is called Prakriti. This is called Prakriti, material nature. We keep saying material nature, material nature. What is this material nature? Material nature is also this same force that is keeping us within our control through false ego and through other identification with the body and rest of it. So while situated in that, we have to recognize that force. You can't say that I'm out of it. Any moment you say you're out of it, she will catch you some other way, get you in somehow. She won't allow you to get out of it. So The only easiest way is to recognize that force do exist. Every great devotee, jnani, they will first recognize the power of Maya. First recognize the power of Maya. Otherwise you can't escape from there, and better to accept and surrender to her authority. Surrender to her authority. If you do that, she will let you escape from her control. Bhogam apavarga pradayini. That is how it says like that. So, for this living entity, Jiva, if it is entitled for some bhogam, some sense gratification, she provides that. She provides that sense gratification. It is she who is providing that. And ultimately, she will give renunciation also. After giving a lot of bhogam, she will make you understand that this happiness from sense enjoyment is not worthwhile. So when that knowledge also she is giving that, Maya is doing that. So Vairagyam will come to him. Oh, Shivajnana Pradayini. So, but if you think that you can cross over this by your effort or by your ability, you can forget it. You will never be able to cross over her power. And you will never become mature in that way. In other words, you can't make a fruit become ripe by pressing it many times, isn't it? Some fruits, if you press it a lot of time, it will change color. It will turn into yellowish. And you will think that fruit is ripe. But that won't happen with us in that way. So what is Maya's field? Maya's field is everything. This world outside, that's her field. Material body, mind, intelligence, senses, ego, everything is her field. Jagrat, Swapnam, Sushuti, her field. Sattvam, Rajasa, Tamasa, her field. So what is not her field? Everything is her field. In other words, that's why her Ahangaram, that is her central point in that, where she is operating from. This Maya, she is operating, she has a center point, her office, main office, where she is located is this false ego. That's from where she is controlling everything, all these things. So therefore, Ahangara Rupini. And then she controls from there. What does she control? Our ego. So by controlling our ego, situated there, she controls our ego. With that ego, she plays with us all the time. That's why you can see anything, your so-called happiness and distress, all what we experience in this world is all centered around the ego. Nothing more than that. When you become very rich, say big businessman, made billions and billions in this world, and he became a businessman, what is keeping him happiness? Maya Devi is telling him, you got so many billions behind you, you should have nothing to worry, you are well off, you are a big man, you are a big businessman. That is her way of turning that screw of false ego. And in the same way, that is the center where she is operating from. She controls everything. Her control point is that ego, false ego. That's her in the control. And from there, she comes in the form of the mind. And that is also her. She comes in the form of the mind. And she will create such desires and thoughts inside your mind to act in a particular way. Based on this center point, where she will controlling everything. So everyone in this world, it doesn't matter who it is, right from American president to an ordinary man in the street, we are all in that same situation, under her control, working like this. His false ego may be different compared to an ordinary person's false ego. But both are under the effect of the false ego, they are operating. They are always operating. So, and that way she will control her mind, his mind. He thinks he is independent, but actually nobody is independent. He thinks he is independent, but she will create such moods inside him, such thoughts in him, and his mind will go in that. Actually it is her mind, not our mind even. Nobody understands this mind. More than what the Shastram tells us is that just like the Maya has come from the Chit Shakti, Maya has come from the Chit Shakti. Similarly, mind is another force that has come from the Chit Shakti. We have no idea how this is all working. Although we make a lot of claims that we understand the mind, we have got psychologists and psychiatrists and all. What do they understand about the mind? They can probably give you some treatment, but certain cases after if it goes out of control, then they also can't do anything about it. So it is that same power which is working in everyone who reveals the secret of the nuclear bomb to the scientist. It is her who is doing this. It is not that he is great, he has found something. When she allows him to have it, he can have it. And the same person, and it is him it is her who is doing that. And it is the same personality who gives the capacity to write a nice poem to the poetry. A great poet like Shakespeare or Kalidas or anyone for that matter. When they were able to create such wonderful creation poetry, that power is also her power. It is her power that comes from there. Then on the one hand, she will encourage people to fight and create a war. And on the other hand, she will be preaching peaceful life in this world. That's also she does. That also she does. And if you know that all of this is her manifestations, it is an amazing experience. And at some time, we have the desire for Tattva Jijnasa, to know the truth. Satsangam, we want Tattva Jijnasa, we want Satsangam, we want the knowledge of the soul, we want self-realization. She creates that thoughts inside. And he will make us to do all kinds of activities favorable for that, like chanting the holy name, studying Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, attending in Satsangam, listening to Bhagavatam. All these desires she creates inside. And also she will tell us to study Upanishads, Vedantam, everything. And at the same time, after some time, she will take you away from all of that and create another thoughts inside, not allow us to do anything and completely go out and make money and enjoy life. That also she does. This is all her activities. It's she who is doing it in a wonderful way. When she is favorable, she will take us in the right direction, take us into spiritual life, spiritual activities, and give us some taste for releasing from there. She will give you a feeling that you are getting released. And the very next moment, she will tie you down so strongly and you will start thinking there is no way of hope of escaping from here. Both she does. Both she does. And when she is releasing like that, that is Jnana Shakti. Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Swarupini. That's how she is defined. Ichha Shakti means desire. Kriya Shakti means the power of action. Jnana Shakti means the power of knowledge. All these three things are coming from her. So when she gives all of that, Maya, when she gives all of that, Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, when she gives us all of those things, then you may feel like escaping from this what they call this knot, of this mess. So, Mukti Hedu Avincha, Samasta Vidyani. So that powerful force has also come from the Chit Shakti. She has come from the Chit Shakti like the mind has come from the Chit Shakti. Isn't it? Mind has come from the Chit Shakti. It's a very interesting thing. Go into Sushupti states. What happens? Where is mind? In the deep sleep. Where is Maya? In the deep sleep. So you see, these two forces also, they have been told you can operate in certain conditions when they came out from the Chit Shakti. Chit Shakti knows that in Sushupti state they can't touch you. Maya cannot touch you in the Sushupti state. And we still think that Sushupti state is a very low state, isn't it? Because you are falling into sleep. But whole Upanishads is centered around Sushupti. Can you imagine that? We talk about Sushupti thinking that, especially as devotees will say like this, oh Prabhu, I have overslept. I slept more than 6 hours. You should not sleep more than 4 hours, because if I slept more than 4 hours, I am not advanced enough. I am more advanced if I sleep less, isn't it? All this principle in our head is deeply driven inside. And we don't sleep, and then where do we sleep? We sleep in the Bhagavatam class. Because we didn't get enough sleep at night. Then you go and sleep in the Bhagavatam class. Or what will happen? Prabhu, I have taken so much prasadam, I have to sleep now. We will say like that, isn't it? So all this is, why is that? That's her power. That's her power. And she puts us into sleep, but then she never interferes. And she puts us into that deep sleep. After that she says, you can sleep now. We won't get involved in you. Stay away from that. So whether it is Sattvagunam, Rajogunam or Tamogunam, it doesn't matter. It is she who is changing in all these different forms. These different formats. It's a different formats. This is Sattvam, Rajasa and Tamasa. So when that power, Maya, who has come from Chit Shakti, when she gets into the mind and intelligence, she creates these three different situations in there. Different situations in there. So in other words, Maya is not much different from the Chit Shakti. Maya is not much different from the Shakti. Chit Shakti. Where it says here, actually, when we go and pay obeisances, saying that I am paying obeisances to Krishna, actually we are paying obeisances to Maya. Because everything is in that domain it is happening. We don't know understand Krishna yet. What do we understand about Krishna? We say that Krishna is a bluish form and he has got a flute in the hand and he is wearing yellow garments and he looks beautiful. We say we are paying, but reality, who are we paying obeisances to? It is to her we are paying obeisances because everything in this world is under the modes of material nature. Modes of material nature. Only when we have realized the truth and understood what Krishna is, only then you can pay really obeisances to Krishna at that time. Even in that stage, what we understand about Krishna is very, very limited understanding, isn't it? So, so normally you can see Krishna's manifestation in this world, that when we talk about Ishvara, the controller, you will expect certain things from controller, isn't it? Expects mercy from controller, from Krishna. And qualities like motherhood, Madhatvam, it is from Krishna, because that is a protective force of Krishna. Protective force of Krishna. What else? Krishna has to also fulfill all our desires in this world. That is also a necessity. We have desires, many kinds of different kinds of desires. That has to be fulfilled. And bad desires, if we have anything, that should not get fulfilled. Good desires, it should get fulfilled. For example, we have desires that we don't get sick. We have desires, we have enough food to eat. We don't have to starve. We have desires that we remain happy without any problems in life. So various kinds of desires people have. And that should be fulfilled. That comes from Ishvara, the controller. Krishna's role is like that. Krishna, when he is present in this world, we address him as Ishvara. Why? Because he is the controller of our life in this world. In that way he is addressed as Ishvara. That time it's not addressed as Krishna. Ishvara sarva bhudanam hrideshe Arjuna tishtari. Situated within the heart as Ishvara, he controls, fulfills our desires, satisfies all our needs. That is the role of Ishvara. That is how he is addressed as Ishvara, one who controls everything. So, so what is good for us, Krishna should know and do the good thing for us, the right thing for us. Suppose I get a lot of bad desires in me and I say to Krishna, why you have not fulfilled all my desires? That won't look good, isn't it? That won't look good. So if there is a power like that, that is what Krishna is talking about, that here as the next verse what he is going to refer to. So you can think about this also. When you were born, there was a father and a mother. That father and mother did not come because you have asked for that father and mother. You had no choice there. It was given to you. Who makes that decision? That he should be your father, she should be your mother. Who made that decision? That is her. That's her power. So, all this knowledge, but when they had come as father and mother, they had that spontaneous knowledge in them that he is the father and she is the mother in them. Where did that knowledge come from? In them. So, it is a reflection because there must be another powerful force which is manifesting in these different ways in this world. Actually, this material world is a shadow. Because of that, it is spoken as a shadow. And that original bimbam or the original source is Maya, Ishvara and everything. So that is why you will see there in one verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says Gadir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi Nivasa Sharanam Suhrat. It's a very interesting verse. Krishna is saying in the 9th chapter. That 9th chapter is Rajavidya Rajavidya. Yoga, isn't it? That is that 9th chapter. Most confidential knowledge. That verse is always an interesting verse. If you look at it. 18th verse in the 9th chapter. Gadir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi Nivasa Sharanam Suhrat Prabhava Pralayasthanam Nidhanam Bijam Vyayam. Krishna saying, Gadir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi Nivasa Sharanam Suhrata Prabhava Pralayasthanam Nidhanam Bijam Vyayam. I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge, and the most dear friend. I am the creation and the annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting place, and the eternal seed. And the eternal seed. Gadir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi Nivasa Sharanam Suhrat. Krishna says. So, you can see that how did these definitions come? How did they come? Gadir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi Nivasa Sharanam Suhrat. Krishna has not excluded anything there while defining about himself. Why? That is a question to ask. That is why the answer is spoken there. That I am the Gedi, I am the God. I am the Prabhu, I am the witness, I am the mother, I am the father. I am that. In other words, the origin is that. Our so-called father, mother, that force what is protected us at the time of birth in the form of father and mother is Krishna. That is how we have to understand. And you can see in our own life that protective power is all the time with us, throughout the time. Because He is present inside each one of us. He is protecting us also. When He decides that this body should live in this world for such and such a time, in such and such conditions, it has to accept that. It has no choice there. You can independently in ignorance do a lot of things. But if you really understand Bhagavad Gita, this is the understanding that has to come. Gadi, Bharta, Prabhu, Sakshi, Nivasam, Sharanam, Suhrata. Only Krishna. Because it is that force that is keeping us going. And when that time is over, this body is not necessary to live in this world. He makes the decision to drop this body and go. The decision is made by Him, by that power. That power who came as father and mother at the time of birth, who protected and brought us up and brought us up to this stage. He alone makes that decision when the body should go. And that is when we lose that body. When we lose that body. So it is wrong to think that we are running the show. Krishna is running the show. Nobody else is running. Krishna is running the show. And that is what Bhagavad Gita is telling us. We'll discuss it tomorrow. All glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Mahaprabhu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.